Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I'm so sorry for the delay, but we're able to start. Welcome to our 2025 New England High School Film Festival. My name is Christina San. I'm a junior at the Governor's Academy and one of this year's festival board members. It's an honor to be your host today for our virtual award ceremony. This year's theme, the Unframed Your Voice, Your Vision, No Limits, reminds us that film is more than what fits inside a frame. It's about how we see, how we imagine, and how we connect with another through stories. And this year is a special milestone because it marks the first year of the New England High School Film Festival. We received over 20 film submissions from students representing more than 10 high schools across the region. Each of these films carries a unique voice, a new way of seeing the world, and together, they remind us why youth storytelling truly matters. On behalf of our organizing committee, thank you to every student, teacher, and filmmaker who made this possible. Now, let's begin our ceremony. Before we begin, here's what you can expect from today's ceremony. We'll start with opening remarks, followed by two panel discussions where educators and filmmakers share their insights on film and creative education. After that, we'll invite several youth creators to join a dialogue about passion, storytelling, and how creative interests can grow into future academics or career paths. Finally, we'll celebrate our filmmakers through the award presentation and closing with the closing remarks. The entire event will run for about 2 hours, so please stay with us and enjoy the program. So let's begin with our opening remarks. The guest who will be delivering our opening remarks today has a very special connection with the New England High School Film Festival. In fact, without her encouragement and support, this very first edition of New England Film Festival might never have came to life. She is from Philip Academy, Andover, where she serves as an instructor in arts and advisor to the Movie Makers Club. It was her guidance that first inspired our founder to turn an idea into reality, to create this festival and bring young filmmakers together. Dear guests and friends, please join me in giving a warm welcome to Miss June Kopenkowski, who will deliver the first opening speech to the first ever New England Film Festival.
Good morning. Good morning. Sorry, this was my bad that this event became a little bit delayed, and I totally apologize. And once again, welcome to the New England High School Film Festival. And thank you for joining us this early Saturday morning. And I hope you have a good big cup of coffee, bagel, cereal, or some sort too. Also, really we are really grateful for your support and participation as well. And I'm Juga Pinkowski. I'm a visual art instructor at Phillips Academy, Andover, and I teach ninth grade visual studies, video courses, advanced digital media class, and 12th grade advanced studio art class. And I'm also the faculty advisor of the Andover Movie Makers Club. And this event was really organized by the Movie Makers Club leader, Edward Chen. And we hosted a film festival 2 years ago. And it was kind of like first time we were hosting. So there's a lot of learning process that we went through. And Edward kind of thought, well, how can I develop this film festival? And he really kind of worked on it for last really a year or so, contacted many people, planning, creating the website, planning the submission account and everything, and then to the plan of this Zoom format. And I think this was kind of wonderful that it really kind of gives more people to access and come together. And so the goal for this event is really kind of create more opportunity for the high school student to share their work and participate in the film festival. And then also kind of celebrating the creativity, dedication, because filmmaking is so much work that it's involved. And so that dedication and storytelling spirit of the young filmmakers. And beyond also like a showcasing and competition itself. And our hope is to really kind of foster learning and collaboration and inspiration. And through panel discussion, I think it is a really wonderful opportunity to have the event that not just a competing and tell who won the award, but instead we have these 3 panel discussion coming up, and I think would be a really great learning opportunity and inspired, and it'll be so that's an event that and Edward's really kind of trying to create, and also last film festival we have hosted was really kind of like a local, since it was the first time. So it was really kind of local, just a couple of schools that we invited. And at this time we are kind of expanding to the New England high school, and hopefully it will start, keep growing in the future too. And the theme of this year's festival is Unframed, and breaking free from convention, exploring new possibility for storytelling and creativity. And in many ways, we are doing the same with this event itself, and exploring what high school film festival can be. And hopefully you will enjoy. And please, again, grab a good cup of coffee and bagel and relax and enjoy the conversation ahead. Thank you. Thank you again for joining us.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Kempowski, for letting us to know you better and know the history of this event. And we like to move on to the next section. So now we'd like to share a few special messages from our friends and supporters, filmmakers, educators, and partners who have been part of this journey. We received many wonderful videos from all around the world, and we've selected 3 messages to share with you today. So let's hear from Ms. Bihon Shah, an award-winning Chinese writer and director and producer, and also from Ms. Elisa from the Film Guys, and Ms. Sophia, which is a co-founder of In Between Us Film Festival.
大家好，我是沙碧红，非常荣幸能够以这种特别的方式参加首届新英格兰高中电影节的盛会。虽然我不能前来参加，但我的心与现场的每一位电影人、每一位观众同在。请允许我向电影节的主办方、组委会和所有的工作人员致以最热烈的祝贺和最诚挚的感谢。是你们的远见与汗水为我们点亮了一束属于光影的聚光灯。在今天能诞生一个新的电影节，这本身就是一件充满勇气和梦想的事情。它不仅是一场盛会，更是一块崭新的画布，等待着更多心怀电影梦的人们在这里泼洒才华，描绘未来。我们都知道电影是什么，它是刻在胶片或数据流上的梦，是穿越时空的信使，是让我们在黑暗中看见彼此、理解彼此的窗口。它让我们在此看到世界的缩影，也让我们在世界的纷繁中找到内心的共鸣。所以我由衷的希望新英格兰高中电影节能成为一个梦想的起点，一个思想的熔炉，一个有益的桥梁。在这里，新锐导演能一鸣惊人，资深大师能再创辉煌，所有怀揣电影梦的人都能被看见、被聆听。最后，我要把最美好的祝福送给电影节，愿星光永远照耀这里的每一块银幕，愿好奇与热爱充满每一位观众的内心。预祝首届新英格兰高中电影节圆满成功，谢谢大家。
Welcome, participants, to the first New England High School Film Festival. I'm Alessi, the co-founder and producer at The Film Guys, a company that specializes in helping private schools learn who they are and tell their story. I'm honored to be here with you today and share a few thoughts as we open this event, starting with the importance of storytelling. Since we've had language, we've been telling stories. Whether it's transmitting morals and values, our relationship to nature, survival skills, or simply for entertainment, stories have provided an understanding and guidance as to who and what our place is in the world for thousands of years. Storytellers of each generation transform and expand culture on a foundational level, arguably more so than any other vocation. And of all the storytellers out there, filmmakers have the most influence. Through sound and visuals, you are able to transport your audience back in time, into the future, to a place they've never been before, in the mind of a different person. Share ideas and memories, experiences they might have never imagined. You are gifting them the opportunity to see the world from your experience, from your perspective, in your art form. It can be shown over and over again, exactly as you intended, forever. Because the story
Before we begin, here's what you can expect from today's ceremony. We'll start with opening remarks, followed by two panel discussions where educators and filmmakers share their insights on film and creative education. After that, we'll invite several youth creators to join a dialogue about passion, storytelling, and how creative interests can grow into future academics or career paths. Finally, we'll celebrate our filmmakers through the award presentation and closing with the closing remarks. The entire event will run for about 2 hours, so please stay with us and enjoy the program. So let's begin with our opening remarks. The guest who will be delivering our opening remarks today has a very special connection with the New England High School Film Festival. In fact, without her encouragement and support, this very first edition of New England Film Festival might never have came to life. She is from Philip Academy, Andover, where she serves as an instructor in arts and advisor to the Movie Makers Club. It was her guidance that first inspired our founder to turn an idea into reality, to create this festival and bring young filmmakers together. Dear guests and friends, please join me in giving a warm welcome to Miss June Kopenkowski, who will deliver the first opening speech to the first ever New England Film Festival.
Good morning. Good morning. Sorry, this was my bad that this event became a little bit delayed, and I totally apologize. And again, once again, welcome to the New England High School Film Festival. And thank you for joining us this early Saturday morning. And I hope you have a good big cup of coffee, bagel, cereal, or some sort too. And also, really, like, we are really grateful for your support and participation as well. And I'm Juga Pinkowski. I'm a visual art instructor at Phillips Academy, Andover, and I teach 9th grade visual studies, video courses, advanced digital media class, and 12th grade advanced studio art class. And I'm also the faculty advisor of the Andover Movie Makers Club. And this event was really organized by the Movie Makers Club leader, Edward Chen. And we did have, we hosted a film festival 2 years ago. And it was kind of like the first time we were hosting. So there's a lot of learning process that we went through. And Edward kind of thought, well, how can I develop this film festival? And he really kind of worked on it for last really a year or so, contacted many people, planning, creating the website, planning the submission account and everything, and then to the plan of this Zoom format. And I think this was kind of wonderful that it really kind of gives more people to access and come together. And so the goal for this event is really kind of create more opportunity for the high school student to share their work and participate in the film festival. And then also kind of celebrating the creativity, dedication, because filmmaking is so much work that it's involved. And so that dedication and storytelling spirit of the young filmmakers. And beyond also like a showcasing and competition itself. And our hope is to really kind of foster learning and collaboration and inspiration. And through panel discussion, I think it is a really wonderful opportunity to have the event that not just a competing and tell who won the award, but instead we have these 3 panel discussion coming up, and I think would be a really great learning opportunity and inspired, and it'll be so that's an event that and Edward's really kind of trying to create. And also in last film festival we have hosted was really kind of like a local, since it was the first time, so it was really kind of local, just a couple of schools that we invited. And at this time we are kind of expanding to the New England high school, and hopefully it will start keep growing in the future too. And the theme of this year's festival is Unframed, and breaking free from convention, exploring new possibility for storytelling and creativity. And in many ways, we are doing the same with this event itself, and exploring what high school film festival can be. And hopefully you will enjoy, and please again grab a good cup of coffee and bagel and relax and enjoy the conversation ahead. Thank you again for joining us.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Kempowski, for letting us to know you better and know the history of this event. And we like to move on to the next section. So now we'd like to share a few special messages from our friends and supporters, filmmakers, educators, and partners who have been part of this journey. We received many wonderful videos from all around the world, and we've selected 3 messages to share with you today. So let's hear from Ms. Bihon Shah an award-winning Chinese writer and director and producer, and also from Miss Elisa from the Film Guys and Miss Sophia, which is a co-founder of In Between Us Film Festival.
大家好，我是沙碧红，非常荣幸能够以这种特别的方式参加首届新英格兰高中电影节的盛会。虽然我不能前来参加，但我的心与现场的每一位电影人、每一位观众同在。请允许我向电影节的主办方、组委会和所有的工作人员致以最热烈的祝贺和最诚挚的感谢。是你们的远见与汗水为我们点亮了一束属于光影的聚光灯。在今天能诞生一个新的电影节，这本身就是一件充满勇气和梦想的事情。它不仅是一场盛会，更是一块崭新的画布，等待着更多心怀电影梦的人们在这里泼洒才华，描绘未来。我们都知道电影是什么，它是刻在胶片或数据流上的梦，是穿越时空的信使，是让我们在黑暗中看见彼此、理解彼此的窗口。它让我们在此看到世界的缩影，也让我们在世界的纷繁中找到内心的共鸣。所以我由衷的希望新英格兰高中电影节能成为一个梦想的起点，一个思想的熔炉，一个有益的桥梁。在这里，新锐导演能一鸣惊人，资深大师能再创辉煌，所有怀揣电影梦的人都能被看见、被聆听。最后，我要把最美好的祝福送给电影节，愿星光永远照耀这里的每一块银幕，愿好奇与热爱充满每一位观众的内心。预祝首届新英格兰高中电影节圆满成功，谢谢大家。
Welcome, participants, to the first New England High School Film Festival. I'm Alessi, the co-founder and producer at The Film Guys, a company that specializes in helping private schools learn who they are and tell their story. I'm honored to be here with you today and share a few thoughts as we open this event, starting with the importance of storytelling. Since we've had language, we've been telling stories. Whether it's transmitting morals and values, our relationship to nature, survival skills, or simply for entertainment, stories have provided an understanding and guidance as to who and what our place is in the world for thousands of years. Storytellers of each generation transform and expand culture on a foundational level, arguably more so than any other vocation. And of all the storytellers out there, filmmakers have the most influence. Through sound and visuals, you are able to transport your audience back in time, into the future, to a place they've never been before, in the mind of a different person. Share ideas and memories, experiences they might have never imagined. You are gifting them the opportunity to see the world from your experience, from your perspective, in your art form. It can be shown over and over again, exactly as you intended, forever. Because the story you tell through film will outlive all of us. And that's power, and it's yours for the taking. This might even sound daunting, but you know your advantage? You're a beginner. The beginner's mind is exactly what makes a great filmmaker. It demonstrates humility and curiosity. It means you keep asking questions, keep discovering, and keep learning. If you get comfortable, something's wrong. It means you have to keep the sense of curiosity as you move forward in filmmaking and in life. I wish you all the best of luck in this experience and beyond as you continue your journey and hone your voices. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Sophia. I'm a senior studying psychology and theater at Stanford, and before college, I co-founded the In Between Us Foundation and Film Festival, hoping to create a platform for young creators to learn and showcase their work, especially in the challenging time of COVID. I love film. I love everything about film. I love talking about it, watching film, reading, directing, writing film scripts. but I became very frustrated after coming to college, especially here at Stanford. It's the heart of the Silicon Valley, and many people bypass art or film as purely entertainment. It's you do it as a hobby, and if you pursue it seriously, you'll end up unemployed. But I think visual storytelling, especially film, is becoming much more essential in this time, especially in this country, the United States right now. It's one of the most easily spreadable and scalable and accessible way to express and communicate ideas, to connect people from different backgrounds, to expose and protest against inequalities, to bridge cultures and weaken stereotypes. So I'm really extremely glad that there are people like you, to see high school students like you do this type of work, advancing young creators in the field of film and bringing diverse voices into the arts. This is really important work, and I'm very, very proud of all of you. Congratulations.
Thank you so much for the presenters. Although they can't be here with us today, we still want to give a big thank you to all the guests for their heartfelt messages. As I mentioned, due to time limits, we can't show every message we received today, but we want to express our gratitude to everyone who sent their warm congratulations and encouragement to our festival. We also received a congratulatory letter from the Ivy Film Festival based in Providence, Rhode Island, which is a student-run festival that has long supported young and emerging filmmakers. They have been one of our consistent supporters, and we're truly grateful for their encouragement and belief in our mission. We could also like to take this chance to thank all of our community supporters who have helped make this year's festival possible. Without your guidance and generosity, none of this could have come together the way it has. So now we'll move on into our first panel of the day. It explores how film can serve as both a creative outlet and an educational tool, helping students think critically, collaborate, and express their ideas through visual storytelling. We're joined today by 5 amazing educators who have brought film into the classroom in inspiring ways. My colleague Kelvin Ma from Phillip Academy, Andover, will be the moderator. So let's welcome our panelists and begin panel 1, the role and value of film and media art education in high schools.
So welcome everyone, and thank you so much for joining us here today at our first discussion. So I'm thrilled to be joined by 5 educators who are currently shaping how film and storytelling is being taught in high school classrooms. So before we dive into discussion, could we just go down the line? So we can start with Mr. Bull, and we can introduce ourselves and just tell us a bit more about your background, your work, and what really drew you into teaching film and media. So, Mr. Bull, would you like to start us off here?
Sure. Thanks, Kelvin. Hello, everyone. Good morning. Thank you for inviting me to be a part of this first festival experience. Very honored to be here. I teach film at Concord Academy in Concord, Massachusetts. This is my 19th year doing so. And I came to it as a filmmaker myself. Of course, I studied film at the undergraduate level at the Rochester Institute of Technology before I did a little bit of freelance work out in the San Francisco Bay Area, and then headed on to graduate school at the American Film Institute, where I was a directing fellow. I came to film education specifically in that in-between part, working at the Montana State University in Bozeman, Montana, where I had an opportunity to work in this program called ArtsLink, where rural high schoolers would, for the summer, come to Bozeman, Montana and learn the tools of filmmaking. And I found that greatly rewarding to work with young filmmakers, help them wrangle their ideas into something that could be communicated in a short film format. So it was always in my mind that I would uh, aspire to do something like this once I finished graduate school. Um, and coming to Concord Academy, I just found my home, forever home, I guess. It's one of the nation's oldest media arts programs. I have student films in the archives from the 1930s where they were shooting wacky little chase films and spoofs of Greek mythology shot on 16mm Bolex cameras. And we've been going ever since. I think I missed a question in there, Kelvin, but hopefully that summarizes it enough for you.
Yeah, thank you so much. So now, Mr. Noon, would you like to tell us a bit more about yourself?
Hi. I came into film through playwriting and theatre. So I ended up working in the theatre and the stage. I came over from Ireland and worked over in America and started studying at Boston University. And I ended up teaching at Walnut Hill High School for the Arts, where they taught a program in basically creative writing. And I suggested that we move into teaching playwriting, which led into teaching screenwriting and making films. And so that's where I ended up today, teaching film.
Yeah, thank you so much. So now we head to Miss Pinkowski. Would you like to tell us a bit more about you?
I kind of already introduced myself a little earlier, so I'll kind of keep it short. I came in actually in the film field from the graphic design. I was more of the graphic designer working on the motion graphics, and I kind of moved it into the film field, which again, it's a very different perspective, but I kind of found it, filmmaking itself was very fascinating, kind of extending from what like advertisement, the commercial that we did in the 2Ds motion becomes the motion, and that's where my introduction to the film. And I teach I teach both kind of digital media as well as that video foundation class as well. So
Thank you so much. So now, Mr. Noidel, would you like to take over?
Yes. I started as a janitor at WGBH in 1971. So I've been in this business a long time. And in the course of that, I think now it's like 54 years, made a lot of films, worked on a lot of Nova films, a lot of frontline films, a lot of world films. And the thing I understood as the most important part for me is that it was a constant learning process. I learned about the Vietnam War, AIDS. Let's see, I have a whole list here I was jotting down. Brown versus the Board of Education. I know all about that case. The civil rights movement. I worked on Eyes on the Prize, worked on Vietnam and television history. I know about heart transplants, AIDS, and retroviruses, and you got the point. It's an incredible opportunity to learn. And so in what I do at school is use film to help increase the curiosity of the students and help them to learn about subjects, the bigger world. I should also mention that because of my profession, I've traveled all over the world and have been, dozens and dozens of countries. And that exposure has changed the way I view the world. And I try to get that across to the students that the world is big, but it's also quite small. So they're doing things that are expansive, and storytelling, I'm going too long here, but storytelling to me is incredibly important because it's the way humans communicate important points. And filmmaking is an incredibly efficient way to tell a story. I have all sorts of theories about this, which I won't bore you with, but you all know them anyway. But I deal a lot with time and what time means, all the way down to the physics level of it, because time is an incredibly important part of filmmaking.
Thank you so much. And of course, last but not least, we have Mrs. Smith.
Hi, thank you so much for having me today. I am actually not a film teacher, but I was the department chair of the arts writ large, performing and visual at Tabor Academy for the last 10 years. and I've been at the school for 20. And I teach studio art, but as the chair, I was helpful in trying to implement a video curriculum and facilitate our photography program to be able to add video to the course catalog. And we currently have a digital photography, darkroom photography, and video. Was my hope to have more of a media arts bent to that entire department. We're still working on that. But I use film in my classroom all the time, whether it's social media or as a teaching tool, as many of us I'm sure do. But it is actually something I rely on with students now as a cultural language. We all sort of consume stories in this way so naturally. And I think it's a really important aspect to include across all curriculums. So,
Thank you so much. So, kind of heading into discussion. So, there's this question about since many schools really struggle to balance creativity and academic structure, right? What like strategies have really worked for you as instructors in bringing filmmaking and creative mediums into a more traditional school setting? So, do we have like anyone that would like to speak on that first?
I think it's a natural integration. It's not hard to get, for example, right now, the assignments for my students, I have 8 novices, and they're learning, they're doing films, 2-minute films, 3-minute films about uh, people they admire most. And one of the students is doing a film about um, Mahatma Gandhi, another Martin Luther King. Another one is doing a film about Jane Goodall, and then a dissident uh, rock singer in Russia. And so they're bringing. It's not hard to get academic subjects interwoven into filmmaking. It just fits naturally.
Yeah, I can add to that the inverse. I think there's a natural conversation between like film media-based production courses, but also academic courses. So we're very fortunate in the arts over here that our students actually have a 10 credit graduation requirement where they get to take arts, as I like to say, but some of them say have to take arts. So they never have a problem fitting into their schedule. It's actually part of the overall curriculum. But on the other side of things, as I look to my colleagues in modern classic languages, math, science, history, English, performing arts, the integration that Eric's talking about, the tools have become so fluid and easy to use that many of my colleagues are using capstone projects for their courses. I have a German teacher where students are making short films, music videos to show their fluency of the language. And I think that's only going to increase. Google, I think in Google Classroom now has just released a very basic video editor. So the bar of surpassing the technology fluency is very low now for very like foundational basic filmmaking skills. And that can only feed into media arts programs because hopefully they're gaining interest as they experiment with that. And then they want to level up so they can come over to our programs and learn how to explore even further.
I would just jump in and say that I think our students are the teachers in leading this work. We at our school have a lot of students who are interested in using filmmaking as a way to get ideas across. Even in our all school meeting assembly, it is everybody's asking for like, can you get a video about this? Can you bring this kind of idea together with your storytelling? And they're relying on students to integrate what their skills are already, and hopefully bring them to the larger community and highlight that thing, the ease of use, the simplicity with which we are now able to make short films, but also the artistry that's possible and how it can highlight and raise voices across the curriculum. I also think it's just natural. It's a history project always. It's always a research project when you make a film. I've never seen a student make a film that didn't learn something about the subject that they were making the work about. And we also have like different teachers access that technology in different ways, and it elevates the whole culture when we all can sort of use an art medium in all the aspects of our learning.
I think in terms of Walnut Hill, they take the academics in the morning, and obviously they take the arts in the afternoon. But you can start seeing that in the English class where they're teaching about the arc and the narrative arc, that's also witnessed in their work that they're also doing in terms of live action shorts, scripts for theatre and TV scripts, and so that they can actually start talking about how to develop character and how those characters can then also be talked about in English class and language class in terms of the arc. So there is great integration between the academic and the art form.
Yeah, I don't think it's an issue. I think it's just a natural thing that they fit together like a hand in a glove.
Yeah, so like kind of I want to ask kind of further on that. So since they are so connected, like how has like film or like media art education really changed the way that these students may think in like a film classroom or in other classroom? Like could each of like share an example of like a moment like where you can see this creative shift happen for the students?
Well, for me, I often stimulate them with a film that's really good. Like I showed them Up last week. It's a really good film. So I showed them how. Uh, I also showed them Wall-E and the Secret Life of Walter Mitty and that sort of thing. And those films have very good film structure and uh, are about something. So when they see that, they get very stimulated to make something themselves that expresses. For example, in Up, the whole film's about love. So it's really easy for them to start um, looking at what makes a human and how important love is in that equation. So that has worked in my classrooms, just sort of showing them great filmmakers uh, and, within the high school kind of moral structure, uh, how they approach important parts of life. Because filmmaking is not dissociated from life. And my whole career has been directly associated with life, real life. And um, so I approach this by setting models, like how do people handle this situation, and how are they thinking about these situations, and it fits right into literature and also the sciences. So, uh, well, that's it.
Kelvin, what was the question again?
So I was kind of like asking about how, since film and kind of other education is really like intertwined, how can like film be used to spark more creativity in these students? Like, is there a specific example that you can share of this creative shift happening for these students?
I think I come from the basis of putting words on a page. So I'm always trying to teach the students how forward motion works in terms of both plot and their own life. So it's as simple at times as asking them to tell the story between get up in the morning and coming to school for the first class, so that they can see the movement moving forward from that. And once they start measuring their life in terms of like a script, they actually start opening themselves up to the idea of how literature moves like a plot moves or a character moves through action. And then it becomes a little bit easier. At times it feels like, and they'll come back to me and tell me they've ruined their film experience because they used to be able to sit back and have a Coke and some popcorn and watch a movie. Now they're seeing where the exposition is, and they start seeing how an inciting event occurs, and they can use that then also in how they tell their own stories.
Mm.
Yeah, I have reflections of that with my students as well, and not only how to tell stories, and I think you're speaking to this as well, but I've heard students speak once they appreciate structure, and understand how to interpret a film that way. I've had them then lay that over their life and map their life that way as well. Not in a therapeutic sense, but just to step back and have an objective view of like, oh, this is where I am in my life, or I could interpret it this way. And I think that becomes a very powerful tool as you're navigating a very like wonderful and confusing and chaotic time of your life, to actually have some sort of template to map over and say, how does Joseph Campbell's hero's journey like track through my high school experience? What would that story be? And if that's true, where am I in that point of the story? So it's really gratifying to see them just synergize ideas from the classroom into their day-to-day life style as well. And of course, expanding that into other subject matters is a great tool.
It's interesting. Students are so much more, like we compare from like 5 years ago, 10 years ago, students are so much more familiar with like video type film, video medium, because of the TikToks that they make short films all the times and little clips in the Instagrams and all the time. But I think that having that class itself really kind of expand what you could do with that short. It's not just instant gratification, but I think that I could see a student, coming in a film class, I could really started to see like Justin said earlier about like kind of taking time to actually see, taking time actually see like, you can't just kind of sit and enjoy the movie, but now like you're looking at what is exposition, what is the, and the climax, and how'd you edit it, was the lighting and sound, and students started to kind of grow understanding of how the film is made, instead of just kind of making quick TikTok images. And I think that's really kind of wonderful. And then I had a student who made experimental film based on Handmaid's Tale, and he actually submitted to the All American High School Film Festival, and it was an official selection. And that process itself, like, and he, by creating this visual form, that he actually understood the literature or the actual mood and feeling of that literature, or how he felt about the novel, much more clear in the way than just read the book, for him. And I think so that was like a really kind of wonderful, exciting moment, to see that what's around life around them kind of come together into that kind of film format too.
Yeah, certainly. So I think like now more than ever, film is really present in our lives. So kind of looking ahead, like what support systems or changes would you like request, or what reforms to modern education would you like for media and art education to thrive in high schools? So whether that's like curriculum design or like resources or community partnerships, what would you like to see change so that students are better able to learn about media art in today's society?
I've taken the approach that I was trained in the old sort of Hollywood system where people would, teach me sound and camera work and all the technical stuff. So one of the things that I try to do with the class is spend time with all of the students. I literally sit beside them while they're working, and gives me a chance to show them some technical things like how to do this dissolve, or how to do this would be nicer with a fade, or that sort of thing, and have them try stuff out that way. So the way film has been taught is that in Hollywood has been the apprentice system. but the way film has been taught in schools sometimes gets more formalized, and people think they can lecture about film. But I think you can lecture about themes like you would in literature, but you can't really teach them unless they're actively involved and you're actively involved with them. So I'd like to see more people adopting the apprenticeship system, which of course limits classroom size, but also is much more effective in their development. Also, the relationships with the students I'm learning about Northern Ireland now from one of my students who's doing a film about a soccer player who he admires. So I think it's a two-way street. So I get to learn from the students about their trip to Northern Ireland that they do every year. And so I think lecturing is not going to work in filmmaking.
One of the things that I constantly come back to as a teacher is the idea that if we aren't using it ourselves as educators, that it's very difficult to implement in our classrooms or in any part of our school. And I think the biggest prioritization for me, if I'm going to elevate film in my educational institution, would be to ask for professional development for the educators in the school around how to integrate film making and storytelling through time-based media into lessons so that it's not cumbersome and it's not without some sort of ethical center or guideline. Because as we all know, since we're all here, the power of the medium is extraordinary. And I hesitate to bring these letters to bear, but with the rise of AI and how easy it is for anyone to make any kind of story they want, I think it's important for educators to be brought into the conversation as a whole instead of treating filmmaking like it's a specialized art form. It is, but every phone has the ability to make a movie, and we're like consuming them so frequently that I think there's something there that we need to grab onto and help educators understand so that we can help you guys make the most of the tools at your disposal.
Yeah, extending on that idea, I would make a strong case for a reconsideration of foundational level literary analysis for high school students. I think we're still working in a landscape where we're looking at text as the literary analysis, when in fact the majority of people on this Zoom, I'm sure, are spending much more time consuming media art than they are reading novels. They should read novels. It's a wonderful place to find stories. Um, but the like crucial importance of understanding how to actually like lean into media, understand how it was made, understand the intent of the creator, understand how it's conveying meaning to you, the audience, or how it's manipulating emotions from the audience, I think is essential for a 21st century population. So I would, if I had a magic wand, I would love to see a ninth grade curriculum across the board completely revised so that somewhere integrated in that foundational, what we take for granted as a ninth grade English foundation, is a media literary foundation so that or literacy foundation so that they understand how to read and interpret moving image. And part of that, I think, would be that you're also learning how to make moving image so that you can have that intimate connection through the creation of it. I don't have a magic wand though.
All right, so thank you so much. Of course, like looking at the time, we are coming to an end of our first discussion. So I would like to thank our five amazing panelists. Thank you so much for not only coming here today, but also teaching students like me to find ourselves through film and media. So thank you all so much. I'd like to give you a massive round of applause, and I'll hand it back to Christina to talk about our next panel.
Okay, so thank you once again to our panel one speakers and Kelvin Ma for leading such an insightful discussion. It is inspiring to see how film education helps students think critically and tell a story that matters. And now we'll move on to the second panel discussion, titled Storytelling and Changing Social Culture. This session explores how filmmakers respond to social changes and how visual narratives shape identity, empathy, and public conversation in today's world. And with that, let's hand things over to Kelvin Ma to get panel two started.
All right, so thank you so much. So now we're focusing more from education to creation itself. So from the classroom, of course, to the wider world. So our second panel, so visual storytelling and changing social culture, would like to explore how filmmakers and educators approach storytelling in a world where images travel faster than ever. So I'm honored to be joined today by three distinguished panelists who each bring creative and educational perspectives. So, of course, before we begin, I'd like to start by welcoming our guests and inviting them each to introduce themselves. So please share a bit more about your background, your own creative journey, and also how you approach storytelling and how it has evolved from today's changing cultural landscape. So if we could go once again down the line, so we can start with Ms. Heinlein first.
Sure. Hi, everyone. So great to be here. I'm so impressed that you guys put this together. Um, I'm on the West Coast right now, so it's a little bit early, so I might just either ramble or not talk very much. Um, I, Kelvin, that's a very, give me a highlight of what you would like to know.
So yeah, just like a bit about your background, your own creative journey, and how your approach to storytelling has really changed in today's cultural landscape.
Okay. Let's start with the final question. You're always changing your journey as I'm a working filmmaker as well as a professor. And you're always adapting and changing your methodology. You're always, as I always say to my students, you're so smarter the next day. You're smarter at the end of the day of filmmaking, way smarter than you were in the beginning of the day of filmmaking, because you learn by doing. And that's sort of across the board of how I approach stuff. Is I don't have to know any of the answers in the beginning, but I hopefully will learn some things as I'm on the journey of making something, and that to me is very satisfying and why I am a creator and a filmmaker. I went to undergrad at NYU and got my BFA. I went to grad school at AFI as well and got my master's in cinematography, and I have been obsessed with speaking, communicating through the visual language forever. That's it.
Yeah, so thank you so much. I know it's early for you, so please adjust accordingly. So next you have Ms. Funches. Please we'd like to discuss about how your background and that has adjusted your creative journey.
Sure. Good morning. Thank you, Kelvin. Thank you, NEHSFF team, for inviting me to be a part of this. And I'm really excited to be a part of this conversation. My journey, oh my goodness, you won't believe this, but I actually began acting when I was about 7 years old. I was watching my aunt on stage. She was in plays like Pearly Victorious and Simply Heavenly, and I just became enthralled with it. And I did some acting, even had an agent when I lived in Florida, but I ended up initially pursuing business as a career. So I got my BS in marketing and then I received my MBA in marketing and advertising. But I was directing a play in Orlando, Florida, and it got this fantastic review in the Orlando Sentinel. And I said, you know what? Why am I doing what I love as a hobby and doing something that's great as a career? So I applied to film school. I was accepted into the University of Southern California's Peter Stark Producing Program, which was a huge honor because they only accept 25 students a year from around the world. And that really began my journey in this side of the business, producing, doing some directing and writing. Gosh, I probably have gotten off kilter a bit of your initial question, but that's how my journey in this industry began. I was the production coordinator and production manager on a variety of behind the scenes projects early in my career for like Desperate Housewives and The Bourne Ultimatum and Pirates of the Caribbean and stuff like that. And I ultimately progressed into producing a lot of some indie features that received some acclaim. I've done digital media. I've done unscripted television for A&E, Discovery Plus, the Africa Channel. And yeah, I'm excited about the new frontier and just what it means about it. And part of your tagline here talks about identity, and I think that is just that's the key right there. That's the importance. That's the volume of the voice in filmmaking. It is creating understanding and awareness of our identity so that we can appreciate everyone a bit more as a global community.
Yeah, thank you so much. And of course, last but not least, you have Mr. Bayu. Would you like to talk a bit about yourself?
Hi, I'm Rob. I am the director of a company known as the Film Guys. I earned my stripes making films for a variety of boarding schools and universities all over the world, and my filmmaking journey started with a camera that looked a little bit like this. I am 32 years old, so I'm kind of at the crossroads of a couple different worlds where I became an adult at the moment that they referred to as the DSLR revolution. And so suddenly filmmaking was very accessible in a much smaller scale. The truth is, I know very little about the film industry as an entity. I very much apprenticed in some sense under YouTube and under the internet. This was really the way in which I was able to learn, and also just by doing. I've since taken on my own apprentices, and we're working on a variety of films. I heard the name Jane Goodall mentioned. We managed to interview her a couple months ago, which was kind of nuts to hear how this whole thing transpired for a film we're working on about chimpanzees and bonobos. And I truly believe that filmmaking is being miscategorized in schools. It's not an art form, you know. It's certainly not a non-academic subject. It's I really regard it as perhaps the most important subject that you could possibly teach at schools. I recognize my bias. Of course, I'm a filmmaker. This is my great passion. There's nothing I would rather do. But it seems to me that it is the one thing that holds the keys to the minds of the masses. And it's a tremendously important subject. But to echo what was said earlier, I do believe that at the heart of filmmaking is writing. And in order to be able to communicate your ideas, you must learn to write and read very well. And so I want to say thank you very much for inviting me to be a part of this. I feel quite humbled to be in the company of such distinguished presence. And so thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much. So kind of like starting off our conversation here today. So for the young filmmakers out here in New England, so balancing school, creativity, and these limited resources, what advice would you give on staying motivated through the challenges and finding authentic stories to tell?
I'll jump in. I'll start this off. Every day we all have a series of experiences. We have perspectives on those experiences. We see things we understand, we see things we don't. That's the power of filmmaking, that you film those things from your perspective. It stimulates conversation. It may open someone else's eyes to what your life looks like. That is my advice is film. Film what you see, film what you feel. Express yourself. Art is expression, whether you're dabbing paint on a canvas or you're picking up your camera and you're capturing something within a frame. It is expression. And so you don't need, well, I mean, you may need legal permission depending upon who shows up in your content, but you don't need permission to express yourself. So I would take the confinements off of the idea of what we consider filmmaking and art. And yes, there is a process. There is a formal process uh, you know uh, for production and renting equipment and distribution and legal and all that kind of stuff. But there is no formula for expressing yourself. So that's the thing I would encourage young filmmakers in the very beginning. Just what do you feel? What do you think? And what does it look like through your eyes? not someone else's eyes. What does that look like through your eyes? Because that's what makes all the difference. That's what engages your audience, and that's what creates entertaining content.
Well, on a think creating things is answering your own personal questions, and typically you are looking for what is the answer to life, to love. Eric had mentioned, how films really go into deeper themes and deeper resonances. And one of the beautiful things about using film is to explore your answers, and you're exploring it. What makes film magical and different than a lot of other modalities is it is a team sport. And then how do you learn to communicate and think about things with others? And what's really sort of brilliant about filmmaking, unlike painting or other things beside the expense matter and the technical, is that we can have two separate ideas, but our idea together is going to be bigger than the two of us. And that synergy is sort of what makes communication, the actual experience of making things with others grows you as a human being, because you have to learn how to communicate, you have to learn how to discuss, you have to learn how to have arguments, differencing of opinions. And also what makes film like literature is that you can express things for, a picture's a thousand words. You can express deeper resonances and deeper colors of thoughts and ideas that might not have, uh, say, English vocabulary that will match the depth of a feeling that you can express through an image, which is why film doesn't come out of nowhere. Film comes out of the great paintings, and it comes out of great literature. It comes out of what we've seen as art forms in the past. It's just in a different modality. And sort of, I hope I went somewhere near your question, Kelvin.
I'm sitting here at the production headquarters. I'm actually in Amman, Jordan. This is my home country. It's 5:30 p.m. right now, and we are going to be making a feature film in 3 weeks. We got a whole bunch of people flying in, so it's kind of a crazy time. But I think one of the reasons I bring that up is that the Middle East is being chronically misrepresented, or rather spoken about, rather than spoken. It's rather than us speaking through our own voice, and that itself is problematic, right? Forget about whoever's agenda. And so when we talk about being motivated, there's reason everywhere. There's truly reason everywhere to pick up a camera. And if we talk about a practical way to actually start, I think in principle, if you boil it down to its utmost essence, filmmaking is camera. Right. And of course, everything else will happen beyond that. So what I started teaching the people that I work with is that this method of filmmaking where you'll just pick up a camera and the entire film exists from the moment you hit record to the moment you hit stop. Right. And it's this really simple entry point that anybody could start with. Truly anybody. And naturally, what's going to happen is you're going to start feeling the ebbs and flows of narrative, and you're going to start thinking in terms of frame. You're going to start thinking in terms of character. And naturally, you'll develop that taste for editing, that desire for, oh, I would like to start adding cuts to this experience. But there's also something magical that begins to happen where a sort of patience gets developed, that I begin to find that I want to hold the shot longer. And I find that I think when we grow up in the context of TikTok, YouTube, etc., there's such a format to cutting quickly that we quite forget the potency of an image. I mentioned we're making a film about chimpanzees and bonobos. I find that if I run a shot for 2 minutes and it's just moving closer and closer and closer, first, the word chimpanzee, as we talked about vocabulary earlier, the word chimpanzee greets the mind, and it enters this folder of my awareness. And then as I go deeper into that story, as I look more at this enigmatic being, which truly I've never given the light of day in the same way as I would on the cinema screen, these presuppositions begin to fade away, and you begin to sort of recognize the being. And there's just, I think it's the message of life. The more you fascinate over any subject, the more fascinating it becomes. And filmmaking is just this incredible medium that allows you to direct your attention, and therefore also direct everybody else's attention toward that which you find interesting. It's I just feel like the more you make films, the more motivated you'll be to make films. That's all I can say.
Yeah, so thank you so much. So I know, Ms. Heinlein, you speak a little bit about collaboration as a part of filmmaking. So of course, as high schoolers, we do have this privilege. So I was kind of asking, from your personal experiences, how has working with your peers or mentors shaped how you approached film today?
Well, it's as I was saying before, it is a team sport. Um, and I still work with people I've met all over the years. I mean, those are my friends, those are my colleagues, and um, film is a language, though. I do love the ideas. Yes, yes, anyone can pick up their camera and go. You can see that, Mike, and go shoot things. It doesn't mean um, you have any idea what you're doing. And that is why there's education. That is why there's film schools. Yes, I'm very big on education, and I'm big on, it's like going to any country. You can have a few words, but the more you learn, if I'm going to Portugal and I can speak in Portuguese, the more I will get out of the richness of the culture and making friends and being part of things. So, in one hand, yes, everyone, um, you go to film school, or you go and work in the medium with others, not just in your computer by yourself, because you want to sort of share ideas and you want to get better at your craft. And a lot of time, what I don't think, I might be a little rogue with this, but I don't think one can learn everything from watching a lot of videos on your computer. I think you have to be with others, and it is, as we said, a team sport. Yes, you could make a whole entire movie by yourself. You can write it, you can direct it, you can edit it, you can act in it. But as I always say, you shoot your load then. All your ideas have just been spit out. You work with others and you team with others to elevate your ideas, to question your ideas, to not to fight. The friction is what creates the heat, which creates genius, basically. And I think it's very important. It's a great skill set also to learn how to collaborate with others, how to motivate others. And I'm sure, like, Jessica's a producer, she's a master motivator, but also has an agenda of where she needs everybody to go. And so it really works on your life skills working with others.
I think it's absolutely right. I think it's perhaps impossible to learn from just in front of a computer. It's certainly the limitation I began to find when I was educating myself in this format, and it became a certain rude awakening when I had to actually start engaging with people in a deep way. And it's an incredibly confronting life to direct films. I mean, you have to become so attuned to the subtle nuances of emotions and to the subtle nuances of narrative. It's truly, and to also be able to work with all the different types of personalities, and then this strange alchemy that a camera actually projects upon an individual because each person responds differently to it. And there are so many unusual things that happen there. However, nonetheless, I really do believe that the tools are within our hands. Werner Herzog, the great documentary filmmaker, he's a sort of a famous opponent of the notion of film school. And I think that there's two paths, and there's no one that is illegitimate and no one's incorrect. I think that there's tremendous value in film school. But Werner Herzog's philosophy is that you can learn the basics, we'll call it the true basics of the technical craft of filmmaking in 2 weeks. The rest is doing. The first one will be messy. The second one will be iterating. By the time you've made 8, perhaps, you might have figured out the ropes at that point. But truly, just being able to give yourself enough tools to quite begin is really the thing I'm always going for. How can you just cultivate enough momentum to simply begin? And then truly your voice will become relative to yourself and your own growth as an individual. That's also a natural part. An 18-year-old me will say something very different to a 32-year-old me, for example, and a 60-year-old me might have something very different to say as well. And I'm quite curious about all the different stages of that.
I'll just tag on to the end. I love that phrase that Liz said, filmmaking is a team sport. And I actually reiterate that to my students at Arizona State pretty much every class because it's true. Um, I actually have a business background as well, as I mentioned. And one thing you learn in business class and organizational behavior is that if you have happy employees and they're super productive, your end product is going to be better. And it's the same thing with film. Our end product is a film or a television series or a digital media project. But if your team is happy, they feel valued, they feel heard, they're able to leverage the best of themselves, it's going to show on the screen. It's going to show in the marketing afterwards where people won't have to force, oh, I really enjoyed working with that person. They won't have to force it. You'll see it on screen, how they joke and how they have a good time. That means they enjoyed the process because everyone did their part as part of the team. Something I impress upon my students is that if one of their teammates, be it the DP, the gaffer, what have you, if they're experiencing a problem, everyone should help how to figure it out because it is in fact a team sport. And when it's their money behind the production, they're going to want that problem resolved quickly because time is in fact money. But it's those things that we need to learn and understand early on because initially when people are excited about creating a film, like I want to be a director or I want to be a writer. Rarely do you hear people say I want to be a producer, but they want to be a director, they want to be a writer, they want to be the lead actor because they're so focused on what they want to do and how that will make them look. But what they don't understand is, it takes more than just a person with a hammer to build a house. And if you want a big, beautiful house, then you need to be a part of the lives of everyone who's a part of it and understand them and make them feel like you value them. And then you're going to have a nice, sturdy, foundational home. It's the same thing with film. You have to be able to do that with your team, whether you're the producer, you obviously, like Liz said, it's important from a producer standpoint, but as a director, you're running that set. You need to show everyone from the PA to your lead actor that you appreciate them, that you understand the value of their presence and of what they're giving of themselves in that moment. That's what makes it a team sport.
Yeah, so thank you all so much. Of course, our time here is running short. So I would like to just give a round of applause for not only creating films, but also speaking here today and giving inspiration to those in high school that are looking to become these storytellers in the future. So I'd like to give you all a wonderful round of applause. Of course, I'll head it back to Christina to talk about our next panel.
Okay, thank you so much for this panel. And now we'll move on into our third panel titled Pursuing Film in High School, College, and Beyond. This session brings together young creators and student filmmakers to talk about how passion can grow in purpose and how early experiences, mentorship, and collaboration can shape their creative journeys. So once again, the conversation will be moderated by Mr. Calvin Ma.
All right, so thank you so much, and welcome to our final discussion of the ceremony. So in this section, we really want to talk about how the spotlight is now turning towards the younger creators and how their voices will shape the future of storytelling. So we're honored to have these three talented filmmakers joining us today, and they're each going to bring a unique perspective into how to create and, of course, talk about their own creative journeys. So, of course, before we begin, let's start by hearing from our guests. So please introduce yourselves and share just a little bit about when you started beginning to create films and how that early experience has been able to shape your passion for storytelling. So we can start with Miss Young. Would you please like to start us off here?
Sure. Um, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Well, I mean, I'm pretty honored to be here, and thanks for having me here. I'm now a Boston-based local filmmaker as well video producer, and I think my journey will start from my first job was in a fashion magazine, and then I went to a like advertising company to produce like promotional videos, and then I just realized I'm more into like narrative thought of things, so I began my journey like doing now I do mainly like narrative, different short films, and also all sort of like videos, media production project. Yeah, so that's basically my background.
Yeah, so thank you so much. So now we can turn the spotlight to Mr. Chen. Would you like to talk a bit more about yourself?
Hello guys, thanks for having me. My name is Ian. I'm currently a senior in media arts and practice in the School of Cinematic Arts USC. My journey began probably back in the pandemic because there was nothing really going on in my life. I thought that if I don't start recording, I feel like memories will fade away, times will pass away. I will never really remember what happened in my like when I was 16. So I really wanted to record stuff. So I bought my first camera and started recording.
Yeah, so thanks so much. So now we can, last but not least, Mr. Zhang, would you like to talk about what started for you?
Sure. Thank you so much. It's such an honor to have me here. My background is kind of long story, but I'll try to make it short. Actually, starting participate in film industry when I was a kid, because my mother, she's a dubbing actress, voice actor. So naturally, like there, because in the industry, like most of the time they needing like child voice actor. It's kind of hard to find that kind of people to do the job. So and they feels like as a voice actress, and her son must have some talent too. So that's how I brought into the industry in China. And then, but that's I've been working in several like theatrical release film back then, but I didn't have that much interest with film right away. And then with the all different like experience that I have, I play saxophone, I painting, I do theater, musical, and then eventually I feel like none of them is something, they're all fantastic things, but I feel like there must be something more. And then eventually I feel like film might be better way to combine all of these amazing things to express the lovely moment that I experienced in my life. So that's why I decided to take film as a major to study in college. And I'm glad at doing that. Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you so much. So kind of like asking a bit more about that. Like, of course, each of you began your creative journey in different places and at different stages of your life. So looking back, like what really inspired you to pick up the camera yourself and start telling these stories? Like, was there a specific film that, or like a director that really allowed you to tell yourself, oh, this is the real thing I really want to pursue? Like, is there anything what sparked that change in your life?
Oh, I can go first. Well, I would say the very first motivation for me is just that I love art, and there's like strong desire inside of me. Like I want to express something, not just stories. It can be like values, idea, or just simple message. So it could be actually any forms of medium, like film, installation art, painting. Though I'm really bad at drawing, but just right. So I just pick film, because it combines like visual art, so that's the art, and then the story itself is the message. And I feel like when people talk about like filmmaking, I feel it has really like high barriers. Like it's really like technically set of thing. It's really difficult to do, but we actually get to in the industry. There's so many positions department here. Like if you're really good at like stylish makeup, you can do art department, APA props. And if you like acting, you can be actors. You love writing, be the writers. So if you really know nothing, you can do PA, and everybody starts from PA. So yeah, I think um yeah, the first MO here just to create something like through art form.
Yeah, kind of building upon Miss Wu. So like filmmaking doesn't have to start from a really high end point. It can be like just recording your everyday life. I began it because I feel like there's not like my life is being so plain that I really need to leave something behind to kind of like have a trace that I can recall. So I pick up the camera and start to record myself. I feel like filmmaking sometimes can be a self-reflection. And yeah, so it doesn't have to be super high end.
Yeah. Back to this question you had, I think the director inspired me. What the reason inspired me is Christopher Nolan. The answer might sound cliche, but it's just such a amazing to saw Interstellar on a huge silver screen for a kid of the age of 13, and I was like shocked. And how can film be such amazing and like influential in a unexplainable way to affect you to try to deliver positive energy to the others. And that's what made me realize I think film can be better than the others as medium to deliver message and emotions and share valuable moments to huge amount of individuals. Because previously we know the way to deliver all these things to other people is like whether through letters, books, but the traditional way to deliver that is kind of time consuming, and film is relatively easier and is quicker and more effective to reach out to each one of the individual. So I think that's one of the reason I feel like if I want to share some message and value to the others, I would choose film than the other medium.
Yeah.
Yeah, also, sorry, I forgot to answer the other half of the question. I feel like Sean Baker definitely inspired me. I really liked his focus on the marginal community, and also a lot of his work isn't that high budget. He used like the most common camera usually, but the story he tells um can gives you a feeling that you don't see in a lot of film nowadays, which is like the touch of humane. And I think this like personal emotion of everyone, every character in the society can be the focus point of the lens. That is something that really fascinated me.
Yeah, so I know, Mr. Chan, you talked a little bit about this, about how film allows us to find our inner selves, how film itself is a self-reflection. So, of course, as young filmmakers, what advice would you give to other young filmmakers about finding that voice, how to be authentic with our films? So, how, like, what advice would you tell high schoolers trying to make films for themselves?
I feel like mm, don't treat film as something that has to be done like with many people with really good cameras and stuff. It it is just a medium for you to express yourself, like writing down diaries or drawing. It can start from everyday life. It can be a process film. For example, you are cooking something. Even though technically it is not like a feature film, but for yourself, it can be treated like a film. It can like you can be honest to yourself. Yes, I feel like being open to yourself is crucial for making a film or a video because you really need to say your inner voice out loud in order to express in a way that viewer will resonate. And I think this is the most crucial point for starting to make a video or film that is resonating.
I will add on your part. It's really amazing that I feel like for me, I think film is a certain lifestyle and it gathers a certain group of people with similar mindset and ideologies. Because for film is like you constantly encounter difficulties and challenges, and you have to willing to dedicate yourself and also able to collaborate with others to solve the problem together. And that's something really amazing that I at least when I making my films is like that's the one of the thing that I enjoys the most because uh, uh, other people on the crew they're dedicate their time, their skills, their experience to help you to achieve a vision that you have or a message you try to deliver to the others. And this is really precious thing because I mean, in a way, everyone's time is precious and it has its own value. And how do you make sure you not being an asshole to waste their time and to just waste their expectations and hope on you? This is with a lot of responsibility. So I think, but also on the other hand, don't consider film as a too hard or as a too holy thing. It's just like Ian said, it's just like a daily thing. Like when you're cooking, when you're like writing diary, it's just like a way to document your life, express your life. That's it. It doesn't have to be something really like high end. It could be low end. There's various type of film. There's a low concept film, high concept film. Like low concept, it's just like focus on the moment. Like I think it's called My Little Sister by Hirokazu Koreeda, and it's like focusing on families. It could be a lot of like simple things, so it doesn't have to be like really like shocking or like refreshing experience.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, I totally agree. Like, I mean, I know industry can be like frustrating sometimes when you're facing those big crew, Hollywood and that film, but I mean, just remember the very first strong motivations, like you making film is for yourself. Like, so just keep rolling, keep writing stories. And I mean, the sense of like achievement as successful, it will like naturally give you the power to continuously going on. Yeah, and I mean, like for stories, um, it's not easy to find the perfect one story at the very first stage, but to find like which kind of stories that you like, or just what kind of like moment in life you're like really touched you deepest, and that's where how the style of your work's gonna like shift, later or in the future.
Yeah, so thank you so much. So kind of getting a bit more personal. So as you think about the next chapter, so whether in college or beyond, like kind of what kind of stories do you three want to keep telling, and how do you want your work to grow along with you?
This is a tough question to answer. Because I'm a senior right now, I'm about to go into the society. I will wish if I can, keep my pure intention of creating things that's not for viewer to uh appreciate, but kind of satisfied by myself. And but I feel like we're here in a really high competitive society. Keeping this intention can be really hard, so I'm still in the journey of exploring.
I totally understand that feeling. For me, I think I want to tell some story that both personal but also able to share to the others. And I forgot which famous director shared this kind of word that the more personal is more to the world. Because you don't know like what are you experience can resonate with the others, and it's important to share some message and emotions and deliver to the others because I think filmmakers, I believe at least, we have some certain social responsibility to, you know, deliver good stuff and positive energy to our audience. That's we have to be responsible for that, and to able to achieve that, it requires a lot of things. Whether go to school, learn the technique, learn the structure and the ways to express yourself, or help you better have a better method to express yourself. But also that you want to have approaches all different things, because I think expressing in film is not easy thing because it requires a lot of different aspect. I think first your life experience. You're not gonna telling a good story unless you experience all those different things. And also you need to practice almost every day because like now I work in a relatively different industry, and it's more to higher education. So like I'm still like managing like equipment and stuff, but I feel like when I go back to the film side, I feel like a little bit rusty. It just, in a way, I think back to the point that spoke a little bit early. That is a lifestyle. That how you want use film to express your life and use that to connecting with the others. I hope that answered the question.
Yeah, I can do a little bit add on. So I feel this industry now, everybody is like fully doing film. They all have side jobs because filmmaker, they all broke. So so now I do a lot of like commercial side of thing, different any like sort of video production, but the main vision is pretty clear. Like I love film. Everything that I do right now, all the connection that I made is just for me, like in the future doing the film. And to go back to the question, I think it's hard because I'm not sure like how my work will grow because I don't know how I'm gonna grow as a person. But I really clearly remember the first time I was on set. It was kind of like pretty big crew set, and I knew nothing. I was PA, and the only thing that I know is that I don't want to make mistake. I don't want to mess anything up. I don't want anybody to see that I am new here. But at the end of the day, I think the story team they were like have a meeting like talking about like how everybody's do today and like summarize kind of works. And I was on the other side of the room, they didn't see me. The director was saying like, "Oh, Yang, she's new here. This is the first time she was on set, but she's lovely, and we need to let her know she can do this, she can do that, and she can do more." So that was the moment that I feel like, okay, I'm gonna do this in my entire life. So I mean, not all of the film side is good. There are some pretty terrible side, but you can feel love and connection between human and just keep that. Try to I would say like for myself, just deliver love, a little bit love through my work that the audience to see after they watch my film, they're like, okay, this is good. I can do a bit more for this word. That would be great. So.
All right. So thank you so much, of course, keeping track of time. That this is going to be, we're coming to the end of our discussion here today. I'd like to thank you three so much for coming here today, and we wish you the best of luck heading into, of course, the actual world. And we wish you the best of luck in continuing your storytelling journey. So I'll head back and I'll give the mic back to Christina to talk about the rest of the event. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you for all our student speakers, and thanks, Kelvin Ma, for leading that inspiring dialogue. And hearing how much each of you turned creativity into action truly captures the spirit of this festival. So let's give another round of applause to all of the panelists and moderator for sharing their experience and insights with us today. So now it's time for the most exciting part of our event, which is the award presentation. So this year, again, the New England Film Festival received over 20 submissions from students across more than 10 schools. Each film reflects a unique perspective, a voice, and a vision that deserves to be seen and celebrated. Before we announce the winners, we want to thank every participant for sharing your stories with us. You've made this year a remarkable beginning for the New England High School Film Festival. So now let's begin our award presentation. Please join me to welcome the founder of the New England High School Film Festival, Mr. Edward Chen.
Hello, everyone. I'm Edward Chen, a four-year senior from Phillips Academy. So, the long-awaited moment has finally arrived. It's time to give out some prizes. Today, we'll be handing out prizes. Best Comedy, Best Documentary, Best Drama, and Best Micromovie. Let's begin with Best Comedy. So, the award for Best Comedy goes to, drumroll, Don't Spill the Beans by Peter Grace from the Meadowbrook School of Weston. True to its title, this short lets the magic of film and a great story spill over with creativity. So, fantastic work and good job. Moving on to Best Documentary. And the award for Best Documentary goes to, drumroll, Epiphany by Kate Xu from the Ethel Walker School. The film documents the endangered culture heritage of crafting lion dancers' heads across generations and celebrates the legacy of female craftsmanship. Very terrific story and very terrific job. Moving on next, for Best Drama. The award for Best Drama goes to, drumroll, Good News, directed by Sienna Henry and Mike Scafati. It's a story about a struggling student-run news station fighting to save its program. Very excellent display and very good drama, obviously. Moving on to the next award, it's the Best Micro Movie. And the award for Best Micro Movie goes to Shatter the Worlds by Arya Lunkar from Concord Academy. In a single minute, it delivers both excitement and mystery. Very wonderful execution. And so, hooray! Applause all around for all of the prize winners and also to all the participants who submitted in general. So, congratulations to everybody and thank you for submitting.
Thank you, Edward. And first, let's give our heartfelt congratulations to all of today's winners. Each of you have shown incredible creativity, dedication, and courage in sharing your stories with the world. For more award details and the full list of finalists, please visit our official website, which is at the bottom left corner, and we'll also be featuring more of this year's outstanding submissions online soon, so everyone can continue to enjoy and celebrate the voices of our young filmmakers. So next, we'll move on to the closing remarks, a moment to reflect on this incredible journey and to thank everyone who made the first New England High School Film Festival possible. So now please join me in welcoming our founder again, Edward Chen, for the closing remarks.
Hello everyone, it's me again. So my personal journey started about 4 years ago in ninth grade when I became friends with Kevin Chen, who was and still is a brilliant, avid filmmaker. I started shooting for The Philippine, which is our newspaper, and also working with our Movie Makers Club. I made a lot of films, but I think more importantly, I've also watched a lot of fantastic films by other high schoolers, such as the many we have received in this very festival. They're all unique in their own way, and more importantly, they all possess the beginnings of qualities and ideas not so different from the more professional films seen on big screens. I personally think that filming is a very expensive interest, as many have mentioned, and we are often, in large part, limited by the means we have, not the ideas, creativity, or sometimes even the ability that we possess. Of course, filmmaking is this constant journey of always using what we have, as a panelist previously has mentioned, whether it be the settings, the props, the equipment, to the maximum. But I do believe that in many schools and other places, high schoolers do not get the education, the support, the resources that they need to express themselves fully. And I think it is in part because of these limitations in resources and guidance that cause the films that high schoolers make to be harder to be seen and their work shared and recognized, which I personally do not think is the fairest. There are preciously filled film festivals that are dedicated solely to young filmmakers, and they need more platforms to show and highlight themselves. This is the reason for the creation of this festival, a place where creativity isn't limited by a budget, experience, or zip code. We aim to recognize and showcase more works by young filmmakers and host these events where participants are hopefully also able to take away some useful bits of guidance and advice. Another goal that we have is to kind of create this collaboration between the film clubs in the high schools of the New England area so that we can have a greater voice together. So if any student from these schools is listening, come over. Feel free to reach out to us. This has been a collaborative effort from the very beginning. I think film and video are actually very underappreciated at the current moment in a lot of schools, which is very strange considering that most of the content we consume in our daily lives is actually in video form. If we all work together, we can both get crazy fun, huge collaborations, but also raise the attention that film gets in general. And it's time to unite and take a stand. Okay, so now let's move on to some thank yous. So firstly, of course, thank you to my club members and Miss Pink. Your encouragement and guidance helped turn this idea into action. Thank you to all of our panelists for sharing your insights with us. Your presence really means a lot to us. Thank you to our fellow schools across the New England area for joining us on this journey, and the Ivy Film Festival directors for your mentorship. Over 8 months of planning, your support and time have made this possible. To all high school filmmakers, be brave and courageous. Every story, as the previous panelists mentioned, deserves to be seen, and your stories are very important. On behalf of the New England High School Film Festival, thank you, directors, teachers, students, and young filmmakers, for being here today with us. This is just the beginning. Let's keep building, connecting, and celebrating one another. So, see you next year.
Okay. Thank you once again for Edward for your heartfelt closing remarks and for everything you've done to make this festival possible. And to everyone here today, thank you so much for joining us. Your support and enthusiasm and creativity have made the very first New England High School Film Festival truly unforgettable. So we're looking forward to seeing you next year, and please also follow us on our social media platforms, which is listed down below in the slide. And feel free to send us an email if you'd like to connect or collaborate. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Again, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.